appreciate that. Appreciate it. So right now, obviously, because I remember watching the season 1 DVD extras. You obviously you wasn't there at the time because you had moved to Australia.
Right.
And I still remember what you mentioned before. What happened on your 21st birthday was kind of similar to what was happening to Michael Cade's as well. He was like, oh, how many more bagels do I need to eat? Five Guy roommate starving, and then they offered him the part, and he immediately took it. But from all the cast of Dreams, who would you say is definitely the most like their character?
I would say myself.
Yeah.
And Michael. I don't think they could have cast a lot of people as Sly, but I'm glad they didn't.
Indeed, yeah.
I'm glad they cast him. He's a mixture of Sly and Michael is he's a whole nother entity unto himself. So he's a fun dude, funny guy.
He seems it.
We had a blast doing the things we did. We had our battles and our fun. And man, I wouldn't change it for anything. So I would say even more than me, I would say Michael was probably the most like his character.
Definitely, because I remember watching that, like I said in the interview, and they were like getting him to read the secretary's part, and he put on the voice like, Michael Enterprises, Master's calling, please. I'll see if he's in. And then the casting director said, oh, you're so this part. And I was like, just give him the role. He was done. He had it in the bag right away. And it's true. Nobody but him could have played Sly Winkle. This is like yourself. Nobody but you could play Jake Summers. Nobody but anybody on that show could play the characters that they were meant to be.
Right.
If they had somebody else, I don't think it would have worked out so well. But they hit the nail on the head every single time.
They did a very good job. Also, the creators, Ron Solomon and Brett Dewey, they had a integral part in the casting, I believe, as well. I'm pretty sure I remember seeing them in a couple of the auditions, and you could just tell like they knew they had in mind what it is they were looking for, and you knew every time you got a script that they had you knew exactly what they were looking for when you saw a Jake joke or a Sly joke or we knew what it was going to sound like and look like. And if we didn't, that would have been a problem, I think. So there was a bit of a, I don't want to say miracle, but a bit of a serendipity in the casting. It worked out, as you said. So yeah, absolutely.
Right place at the right time kind of moment.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Definitely, indeed. So and I remember when you came together back when you came on was it the Jimmy Kimmel show, and just seeing you all there together, and the theme song just came on was just
Jimmy Fallon. Just so in case
Jimmy Fallon. I'm sorry. I'm terribly sorry. Yeah.
No worries.
My mistake. Yeah, but you had to travel the furthest all the way.
I would have loved to have been on Kimmel as well.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Fallon's a legend as well. He have you crying and laughing in stitches. And I can remember they said you came all the way from Australia to travel there, because I can remember on Facebook, because obviously you and I kind of knew each other through Facebook at the time and everything, and you traveled all the way there. You like traveling for 60 hours, like non-stop.
It was I think all in all it was about 35 hours plus, and one of the planes had gotten delayed, so there was like an 11-hour layover in one of the airports, to which I helped myself to copious amounts of Guinness during that 11 hours. And it was just exhausting. Like, it was just such a weird trip. And usually the trips, when I go back and forth to the States, are usually pretty eventless and pretty quick as far as they can be. Because it is a long journey no matter what. But this one, there was just some weirdness that happened that I was like, okay, all right, well, got to deal with what I got to deal with. But yes, I was absolutely, when I came out on that stage, I was honestly pretty much almost unable to stand. I was so tired. I
can imagine that. Yeah. But
what
was it like reuniting with the cast after so long? Because obviously they're all in the US, you're now in Australia and everything.
That was fantastic. Like no matter what, like I think any any show would say this. Like, we're all one big dysfunctional family.
That's true. Yeah.
It's like, you can get along with everybody in your family as wonderfully as possible, and um, and even through any of the dysfunction that you have, like, you're like, I love these people. And so seeing again, well, it doesn't matter. So, like, and there was no, there was no crazy dysfunction. I'm just kind of using it as a model, but but we had our moments, but at the same time, like, just seeing everybody it was fantastic. It was one of those days that I'm like, all right, this is a good day.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking from personal experience, when we did theatre, because I come from a theatre background myself, and
Yeah.
when we got together after like so long, it was like we just felt like we were going back for another rehearsal or something like that. But I see
Right.
exactly where you're coming from, because it's so great, because you become like a family while you're together. You didn't plan on it, but there's a saying it, great, the best plans are those that are not planned ahead. We didn't plan on becoming a family, but we became like one big family, and we still are even in touch even till today.
Right. We spent 8 hours, I mean, 8 to 16 hours a day, actually, on some days, together, week in and week out for 5 years, 4 or 5 years, something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was yeah, exactly what you said.
Okay. Okay. So what is the, as I mentioned previously as well, what is the, like, what people are up to? And obviously you're the one who's moved away, and Kelly went on to doing Baywatch and everything. What is the rest of the cast up to these days?
I myself am working for a company called Black Magic Design. We design and manufacture audiovisual equipment for film and television production.
Awesome.
Um, and that's pretty amazing company. It's based in Melbourne, but it is worldwide. And we got offices. We got an office in London actually as well. Um, and then I think Jenny's kicking butt. Jenny's doing like all kinds of
Yeah.
voiceovers. She's the new voice of, I think it's Chun-Li from Street Fighter, which I'm like, how
Awesome.
awesome is that? Like, one of the most iconic characters in video games, and you get to be that voice. And so she's able to do a lot of Comic Cons and stuff, for those, because she also voices Suki in the Last Airbender,
Yeah.
as well. It's a massive show worldwide. So yeah, Jenny's just kicking ass. Kelly, I think, is still doing stuff here and there. She's I know she's got a lot of kids. She's
Yeah.
Kelly has
Yeah.
a lot of kids, so she's really taken on that full-time mother role, and still managing to do some parts here and there, which is fantastic. As I said, William went and became a doctor. He has his own clinic, even, from what I understand, and that's, again, I could not be more proud of a person. That is a hell of a feat to do, to
Yeah,
achieve.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. And then let's see. Heidi, I haven't talked to Heidi since pretty much the show, but yeah, she was enjoying being a mother as well. Erin is running I think, an acting school in Florida, doing
Awesome.
very
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
She needs to
Yeah.
put her head up. Hold on. You need to put your head up for, yeah, there you go. Sorry, sweetheart. I know you hate this, but it's okay. Um, Uh, Brentley is starring in a new musical in Los Angeles, which I wish I was out there to go see. Um, who am I?
Like,
Diana just kind of disappeared.
oh
Nobody's
yeah.
really had any contact with her. And then Michael is just still kicking on. I think he just had a baby.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. I follow most of the cast on Instagram anyway, because it's like, yeah, just
yep,
again seeing the childhood heroes just, emerging to something even greater as well, just like yourself. I mean,
yep.
what you're doing with the animals, what you're doing with dogs is, that's really sweet of you, Jay, and everything. And we wish you all the best and everything like that. And I do speak for all the other team members here, not being egotistical, but we do wish you all the best. I speak on their
Oh, I
behalf.
appreciate
We say
Thank you so much.
we wish you all the best. And so now, thank you, thank you. And so this is probably the most important question I've got to ask you. Will there ever be a Dreams reunion movie?
You know what? If they asked me, I would do it. We can't even get it streaming right now.
Oh yeah.
Like we can't even get we can't find who owns it or who or where it is to even just get the show on a streaming service to get it back out there and in front of people again. So I mean, it's great. I'm amazed that we still have the fan base we have, considering that they literally just made our show disappear many years ago for the most part. Thanks to platforms like YouTube and stuff. You know, I get a lot of people telling me they watch it on YouTube and all that. But yeah, we'd really like to get it on Peacock and Netflix and just to get it out there and let people see it again. And because it was a special show, we
It
all felt
was. It was.
special. So
I mean, it was like I said. Like I said previously, it touched on a lot of issues that teenagers go through at that moment in time. You know, as we mentioned, the pressure by the pressures of peer pressure of smoking, the peer pressure of doing another fans have joined us as well.
Shirley, this is Shirley. She doesn't have any issues. She's got issues, but
yeah, I see that.
not ones we're worried about. So okay.
That's all good. It's all good. And because like I said, that was the greatest thing about California Dreams, Jay, was so like I said, what was the greatest thing about California Dreams is it touched on issues that even occur till today as well, doesn't it? It's like, the pressures of smoking, the pressures of the steroids, and the pressures of even relationships can sometimes be a bit pressurizing as well, isn't it?
Right.
But that was the great thing, because it kind of taught people a lifelong lesson to say, just don't do this because this could happen. Don't do that because that could happen as well. There's always a consequence to your action. And
Right.
but that said so much, that actually saying those exact words, like don't do this, it will happen. But it will, because you saw the effects of people, don't you? Their personality changes towards you and everything.
I think it also what was good about it was also that everybody was different enough in this group that it really made it okay. I used to call it the Rainbow Coalition, not necessarily for any color reasons or anything, but just that everybody was so different in so many ways that to put a group of kids like this together or people like this together and make them friends, it worked. And it's not something you would see not at the time. I don't think it's something I would have seen normally in real life. People were very cliquey, and they had, I hang out with people who are a lot like me. I think it just kind of showed people like, hey, you know what? There's a wealth of friendship and good things out there from other people if you go find it, and not everybody has to be like you. And I think that was one of the messages that we sent out as well. So I felt pretty good about that, and I appreciate you noticing those things too.
No, I'm pretty sure that, because it's like saying isn't it? Accept people for who they are. For you to get accepted, you have to give acceptance. It's like respect. You have to give it to receive it. It's not handed to you on a plate.
Right, and I think we also did draw the line too. Like we actually had episodes where people would come and be complete jerks. And a guest star would come in and his character was a complete jerk, and it was like, okay, we'll do our best to work with you, but yeah, we're going to let you know you're a jerk. So it's kind of like when somebody says to me, oh, that person's he's great once you get to know him, and I'm like, oh, well, actually, what you're meaning is he's a complete and total asshole, and you all have no idea how to deal with it. Okay, cool, I get it. All right, so yeah, so it was kind of like I think it also, in a weird way, like our show actually kind of like put the seeds of conflict resolution in teenagers' heads, in a very small way, but in a good way too. I really got to give credit to the writers and
definitely, because in a way they're kind of preparing like teenagers at the time what the world's going to be like when you leave high school and go out into the real world. Because as that saying, isn't it? When school ends, that's when life begins.
Yep.
And you have to learn. You're basically out in the jungle right there and then. So you got to be prepared for it at every corner. You don't know what's going to come at you.
Yep. Yeah, it's like I think there was it's a new not a new series, but I think in the Big Bang Theory, I think Leonard Hofstadter speaks to Johnny Galecki, speaks to his old alma mater, as an alumni, and he's the noted physicist, and he has to do it through Zoom. And he gets up there and he says, he says, honestly, this is the best it's gonna get. You know, like it's over. Like for those of you who are popular, it's over. It's done. Like all that's gone now. So
Yeah.
so those of you that were like doing nerdy things, you were becoming interesting. So you're being prepared, like you just said, you're being prepared for something way different
Indeed.
than
Yeah.
than what you've been used to. So yeah.